Excuse me, are you Lena? The voice was small, confident, and completely unexpected. Lena Reed looked up from her phone, a polite smile forming, until she realized she wasn't looking at a waiter. She was looking at three identical little girls, no older than 5, standing at her table as if they'd stepped right out of a storybook. Matching sneakers, tiny backpacks, wide, hopeful eyes. "We're here for our daddy," the second girl announced, as if that explained everything. "He's really sorry he's late. Work emergency," added the third. Lena blinked. Once. Twice. This wasn't how blind dates were supposed to go. She was supposed to meet a charming man, sip coffee, maybe share a laugh, and leave with a story to tell. Jane never mentioned children. She definitely never mentioned triplets. What Lena didn't know, and what no one could have predicted, was that these 3 little girls were about to rewrite the rules of love, one brave, impossible plan at a time. Before we continue, tell us, where in the world are you tuning in from? We love seeing how far our stories reach. It was late evening at Willow Creek Café, the kind of hour when the dinner rush had thinned, but the place still hummed with low conversation and clinking cups. Lena Reed stood just inside the door for a second longer than necessary, her hand still on the handle, scanning the room like she might spot an excuse to leave. She'd already decided this was a bad idea. She'd known it when she agreed to it 3 days earlier, smiling into her phone while her coworker insisted, "Just one drink, Lena. Worst case, you get a story out of it." Lena had stories. Too many. She didn't need another one that ended with polite disappointment and an Uber ride home. She spotted the small round table by the window, the one they'd agreed on. A single place setting. No man in sight. Of course. She walked over anyway, slid into the chair and set her purse on the floor with more care than she felt. The server passed by and gave her that look, half curiosity, half sympathy, and Lena offered a tight smile that said, "Yes, I'm aware I'm alone." She checked her phone. No messages, no missed calls. The chair across from her stayed empty. Lena folded her hands on the table, then unfolded them. She glanced at the menu, even though she already knew she wasn't hungry. The cafe smelled like coffee and something sweet, maybe cinnamon, and somewhere behind the counter, an espresso machine hissed like it was impatient with everyone. She told herself she'd give it 5 minutes, 10 max. She was good at exits. She'd perfected them over the years. Friendly, unoffended, leaving no emotional debris behind. That was her specialty now. Clean endings. She stared out the window, watching headlights slide past on the street, and felt that familiar tug in her chest. Not sadness exactly, more like fatigue, the kind that came from hoping just enough to be disappointed again. She was reaching for her phone, already drafting the apology text in her head, when a small shadow stopped beside her table. Then another. Then another. "Excuse me," a tiny voice said, clear and confident. Lena looked down. 3 little girls stood in front of her, identical down to the way their bangs fell into their eyes. Same height, same sneakers with the light-up soles, same expectant expressions, like they were waiting for her to confirm something important. For a beat, Lena just stared. "Yes," she said finally, her voice automatic. One of the girls, she had a purple hair clip shaped like a star, took a step forward. "Are you Lena Reed?" The question landed wrong, too specific. Lena blinked. Yes?" The girls exchanged looks, quick and practiced, like they'd rehearsed this part. The middle one clasped her hands together. "Okay, good, you're her." "I'm sorry," Lena said, sitting up straighter now. "Do I know you?" The third girl tilted her head. "Not yet." That did it. A laugh slipped out of Lena before she could stop it. "Not yet?" The girl nodded solemnly. "Yes, but you're supposed to." A ripple of unease moved through Lena's chest. She glanced around the cafe, half expecting a frantic parent to appear, but no one seemed to be paying attention. The girls stood there like they belonged. "Where are your parents?" Lena asked gently. "Our dad," the girl with the purple clip said. "He's late." The middle one leaned closer, lowering her voice like she was sharing a secret. "He didn't mean to be." Lena exhaled slowly. "Okay, and why are you talking to me?" All 3 of them answered at once. "Because you're his date." That laugh came again, sharper this time. "No, I'm not." "Yes, you are," the third girl said, very sure. "You're the one from the app." Lena froze. "The what?" The girl sighed, like Lena was being difficult. "The one with the pictures where you're holding a coffee and smiling but not too much." Heat rushed up Lena's neck. "I don't—" The purple clip girl cut in. "He said your name like this." She cleared her throat dramatically. "Lena Reed." The middle one nodded, with the pause. Lena stared at them. Her pulse had picked up now, confusion tangling with something else, something oddly warm and unsettling. "Your dad sent you over here?" she asked. "No," they said again in unison. "That was our idea," the middle one added.
The server passed by again, slowing this time. "Everything okay here?"
Lena looked up. "I think so. I'm just having a conversation." "With us," the third girl supplied, smiling brightly. The server hesitated, then shrugged and moved on. Lena leaned back in her chair. "Okay, let's start over. What are your names?" "I'm Freya," said the one with the purple clip. "I'm Poppy," said the middle one. "And I'm Willow," said the third. Lena nodded. "Nice to meet you. I'm Lena." "We know," Willow said. "That's why we're here." Freya climbed into the empty chair across from Lena without asking, her feet swinging. Poppy followed, perching on the edge. Willow stayed standing, hands on her hips like a tiny supervisor. "Our dad was supposed to be here already, but he got stuck. He works a lot," Freya added. Willow looked directly at Lena. "He's not good at dating." That earned another laugh from Lena, softer this time. "Is that so?" "Yes," Willow said seriously. "That's why we're helping." Lena rubbed her forehead. "Helping how?" Freya leaned forward. "By making sure you don't leave." The words landed gently but firmly. Lena's smile faltered. "Why would you think I'm going to leave?" Poppy shrugged. "Everyone leaves." There it was, just a crack, but enough. Lena opened her mouth, then closed it again. She looked at the three small faces watching her, waiting. There was no mischief there, no prank, just urgency. "Your dad," said Lena carefully, "does he know you're here?" They hesitated. Willow spoke. "He knows we were going to the bookstore with Mrs. Alvarez." Lena winced. "Does Mrs. Alvarez know you're here?" Another pause. Freya swung her feet faster. "Not yet." Lena let out a breath. "Okay, that's not great. But it's important," Poppy said quickly, "because he needs you." Lena tilted her head. "He doesn't know me." "He will," Willow said, "if you stay." The cafe felt suddenly too small, like all the air had shifted around this table. Lena glanced at the door again. She could still leave. She should probably leave. This was not her responsibility. This was someone else's chaos. "How old are you?" she asked instead. "5," they chorused. "And you decided to come meet a stranger by yourselves?" "Yes," Freya said, "because you looked nice." Poppy added, "And not scary." Willow nodded, "And because Dad hasn't smiled like in his pictures in a long time." That one landed harder. Lena swallowed. "What pictures?" "The old ones," Willow said. "Before." "Before what?" Lena asked. The girls went quiet. Poppy picked at the edge of the table. "Before Mom left." The word hung there. Lena's chest tightened, not with pity, but recognition. She'd heard that tone before, the careful way people said things they weren't done carrying. "I'm sorry," Lena said quietly. Freya shrugged, like she was trying to be brave. "It's okay, we're used to it." Lena didn't like the way that sounded. She glanced at her phone again. Still nothing. "You know, your dad might be really worried if he gets here and you're not." "He's already worried. That's normal." A laugh escaped Lena, surprised and helpless. "You're very organized." "We made a list," Poppy said proudly. "A list of what?" "Things to say to you," Freya replied. Lena blinked. "You did?" Willow nodded. "But you laughed, so that's good." Lena pressed her lips together, emotion creeping up on her when she wasn't watching. She looked at the empty chair again, at the untouched water glass, at the version of herself who'd planned to stand up and walk out. "I was going to leave," she admitted. The girls froze. Freya's feet stopped swinging. Poppy's eyes widened. "Were you?" "Yes," Lena said honestly, "but I haven't yet." Willow studied her, then smiled. "That means it's working." "I don't think this is how dating is supposed to go." "Our dad says there are no rules anymore," Poppy said. Lena laughed again, then sighed, resting her elbows on the table. "Okay, I'll stay, for a little while." All three girls beamed. "Thank you," Freya said, like it mattered more than it should. Lena felt it then, the quiet shift, the moment where something small became something else. She stayed. And somewhere outside, a man was running late, unaware that 3 5-year-olds had already changed the course of his night.
The door to Willow Creek Café flew open hard enough to turn heads. A man stepped inside, breathing like he'd run the last block, jacket half on, hair slightly out of place. His eyes swept the room once, twice, too fast, too sharp, before locking onto the table by the window. "Girls." The word came out rough, caught somewhere between relief and panic. Lena looked up just as he reached them. Jasper Hale stopped short when he saw the scene. 3 identical 5-year-olds perched around a stranger's table, one in his chair, one on the edge, one standing like she owned the place. His shoulders dropped an inch. Then he noticed Lena. Oh, he scrubbed a hand down his face. I'm so sorry. This was not supposed to. Daddy! Freya hopped down from the chair and ran into him, arms wrapping around his waist. Poppy followed, then Willow, who hugged him last but held on the tightest. I told you to stay with Mrs. Alvarez, Jasper said, crouching to their level, his voice low but strained. I told you I'd be right back. You were late, Poppy said matter-of-factly. And she was going to leave, Freya added, pointing at Lena. Jasper's head snapped up. What? Lena lifted both hands. I was thinking about it, but oh my God. He stood, mortified now, color creeping into his face. I am so sorry. They were supposed to be at the bookstore. I got pulled into a call and my phone died and He looked back at the girls. How did you even get here? We walked, Willow said. Jasper went very still. You what? It's only 4 blocks, she added quickly. Lena watched him take a breath like he was counting backward in his head. Okay, he said finally. Okay, everyone's alive. No one's bleeding. We sat with her. She's nice. Jasper looked at Lena again, really looked this time. They didn't bother you? Lena smiled, a little crooked. They interviewed me. Willow nodded. You passed. That earned a weak laugh from Jasper. Great, I'm glad my 5-year-olds are running background checks now. He turned back to Lena, sincere and exhausted. I swear I'm not usually like this. Neither am I. I don't usually get ambushed by triplets. That's fair. He hesitated. Thank you for staying. Lena nodded. They made a convincing case. Jasper glanced down at them. You were not supposed to make a case. But you needed help, Freya said simply. He closed his eyes for a second. Okay. Can you give us a minute? He asked them. Are we in trouble? Poppy asked. Yes, he said without missing a beat, but later. They groaned but wandered a few steps away, clustering together and whispering loudly. Jasper turned back to Lena. I should probably explain, or apologize again, or both. You already did. It's okay. It's really not. I've never missed a pickup before. You were working. He nodded. That's not an excuse. Something about the way he said it, flat, practiced, made Lena pause. I was going to text you, then my phone died, and then I walked in and saw this. He gestured helplessly at the table, the girls, the moment. Lena smiled. For what it's worth, they're very persuasive. They get that from their mother, he said automatically. The words slipped out before he could stop him. He went quiet after, jaw tightening just slightly. Lena noticed. Before she could respond, Willow wandered back. Dad? Yes? Lena doesn't hate us. Jasper blinked. Why would she? She stayed, Willow said. Jasper looked at Lena again, really looked this time. Thank you. You're welcome. Poppy tugged on his sleeve. Are we still eating? Jasper hesitated. I think we already decided we like her. Jasper laughed, a real one this time, short and surprised. You don't decide that. We do. You're bad at picking. Lena bit her lip to keep from laughing. Jasper shook his head, then looked at Lena. I completely understand if you want to leave or reschedule or never speak to me again. Lena glanced at the girls, who were watching her closely now. I was already here, and I'm hungry. His eyebrows lifted. Are you? Yes. Okay. Then dinner, if that's not too much. At the cafe? She asked. He grimaced. They're about to close. I was thinking, my place. It's close. We can order in. The girls lit up.
We have pizza nights, Freya announced. And movie rules, Poppy added. And snacks, Willow said firmly. Jasper shot them a look. This is not a negotiation. Lena studied him, the tension in his shoulders, the way he kept checking on the girls without realizing it. Sure, she said, before she could overthink it. Why not? Jasper blinked. Really? She nodded. Really? Okay, he said again, like he was still catching up to his own life. Okay. They gathered their things. Jasper herded the girls toward the door, one hand always reaching out, counting heads without counting. As they stepped outside, Lena felt it again, that subtle sense of something missing. Not loud, not dramatic, just a space everyone was carefully avoiding. And she realized, walking behind them into the night, that this wasn't just a bad date gone wrong. This was a family still rearranging itself around an absence no one knew had a name. Jasper's house sat on a quiet residential street, 10 minutes from the cafe, the kind of place you passed every day without noticing. 2 stories, narrow driveway, porch light already on. Nothing dramatic, nothing announcing what lived inside. He parked and killed the engine, then turned in his seat. Okay, rules. The girls straightened automatically. No running inside, shoes by the door. Willow. I know, no climbing the stairs backwards. He pointed at Freya. Snack before screens. And he looked at Poppy, softer now. No jumping on the couch, she finished. Lena watched this unfold from the passenger seat, struck by how practiced it all was. Not rigid, necessary, like a system built to keep everything from tipping over. Inside, the house smelled faintly like lemon cleaner and something baked earlier in the day. The lights were warm but selective, lamps instead of overheads. Shoes lined the entryway in neat pairs, 3 small ones beside one larger scuffed adult pair. The girls kicked theirs off and scattered, each moving with purpose. "Bathroom first," Jasper called. They groaned but obeyed, footsteps thumping down the hall. Jasper turned to Lena. "I promise this is not how first dates usually go." Lena smiled. "I don't know. I think you set a high bar." He laughed quietly, rubbing the back of his neck. "Can I get you something? Water, wine, apology?" "Water's good," she said. He handed her a glass, then moved through the kitchen with efficiency that came from repetition. He wiped the counter without looking at it, straightened a chair that wasn't crooked, checked the oven clock. Lena noticed the refrigerator next, covered with children's drawings, crayon suns, uneven stick figures, one glittery card taped in the center that read, "Best Dad Ever," in careful letters. Beside it, a photo strip from a photo booth. Jasper younger, smiling wide, a woman with hair leaning into him, 3 babies bundled between them. Jasper caught her looking and closed the fridge a little too fast. "Pizza okay?" he asked. "Perfect." The girls returned, hands damp, voices loud. "Can we watch the space one?" Freya asked. "No," Jasper said. "Homework first." "It's Friday," Poppy protested. "You still have spelling," he replied. They slumped dramatically, but headed toward the dining table anyway, pulling out notebooks. Lena hovered, unsure where to stand. "You can sit," Jasper said, nodding toward the couch. "They're fine." She did, perching on the edge. The couch cushions were slightly sunken in the middle, like someone always sat in the same spot. "Dad," Willow said suddenly, pencil hovering. "Where's the purple folder?" Jasper froze. "It's somewhere," he said. "Check the drawer." "The other drawer." He opened one, then another. Nothing. Lena stood without thinking. "What does it look like?" Willow glanced at her. Purple, bent corner, unicorn sticker. Lena scanned the room, eyes landing on a low shelf. "That?" Willow's face lit up. "Yes." She ran over, grabbed it, then paused. "Thanks." It was small, almost nothing, but Jasper watched it like he'd just seen a line drawn somewhere. Dinner arrived, boxes spread across the table, plates pulled from the cabinet, 4, then, after a second's hesitation, 5. Jasper noticed and didn't comment. They ate with a rhythm that felt lived in. Jasper cut slices smaller than necessary, reminded Freya to chew, let Poppy talk through a mouthful anyway. Willow watched Lena between bites, curious, measuring. "Dad burns pizza," Freya announced. "That was one time," Jasper said. "You set a timer and forgot because you hid my phone." "That was a game," Willow said. Lena laughed, genuinely this time, and something loosened in the room. Halfway through, Jasper stood to get napkins. He opened a drawer, then another, then stopped. "Napkins are somewhere," he muttered. Lena reached up to the counter and pulled a stack down. "Here." He looked at them, then at her. "Right." The girls didn't notice, or maybe they did and didn't say anything. After dinner came cleanup. Jasper moved fast, trying to stay ahead of messes, intercept spills before they happened. Lena found herself rinsing plates, stacking them neatly, slipping into motion beside him. "You don't have to," he said. "I know." She kept going. Later, during the movie, Freya curled up at one end of the couch. Poppy leaned against Jasper's side. Willow sat cross-legged on the floor, but kept glancing back. At one point, without asking, she rested her head against Lena's knee. Lena go very still. Jasper noticed, but didn't react, just shifted slightly so there was space. On the mantel above the TV sat a single framed photo turned face down. It caught Lena's eye, then her restraint. She didn't ask. The movie played. Credits rolled. "Bed," Jasper said. Groans. "I'll read," he added. That helped. As he herded them down the hall, Lena stood alone in the living room, surrounded by evidence of lives half packed away. A scarf draped over a chair that no one wore, a mug pushed to the back of the cabinet, a faint outline on the wall where something used to hang. Jasper returned a few minutes later, quieter now. "They don't usually," gestured vaguely, "warm up like that." Lena smiled. "They're good kids." "They're everything," he said, then stopped himself. Silence settled, not awkward, just full. "I should go," she said, though she didn't move. He nodded. "Of course." At the door, she hesitated. "You're doing okay," she said, careful, "even when it doesn't feel like it." He met her eyes. "Some days." She stepped outside, the door closing softly behind her, and Jasper stood there a moment longer than necessary, realizing the house felt different now. Not fuller, just less heavy. Time didn't announce itself. It just started showing up differently. Lena found herself learning the traffic pattern outside Hillside Elementary without meaning to. Late afternoon pickups were chaos, double-parked cars, parents calling names, teachers shepherding kids toward the curb like air traffic controllers. The first time she came, she stayed back by the fence, hands in her coat pockets, telling herself she was just observing. Freya spotted her anyway. "She came!" Freya shouted, dropping her backpack and sprinting over. Poppy followed, then Willow, slower, more cautious, eyes searching Lena's face for confirmation before she smiled. Jasper jogged up behind them, slightly breathless. "I told them you might not—" "I had time," Lena said. That became the phrase, "I had time." It slid easily into conversations, into gaps where no one wanted to ask for more. She came to spelling bees and winter concerts, sat in folding chairs that pinched her legs, held programs while Jasper juggled coats and juice boxes. Sometimes she stood off to the side, sometimes the girls pulled her closer without asking. At home, homework nights settled into a pattern. Freya liked the table cleared, Poppy liked music playing softly. Willow pretended she didn't need help, then hovered anyway. Jasper cooked simple things, pasta, grilled cheese, stir-fry from a kit, and Lena filled in around him without discussing it. She noticed which pan heated unevenly, which drawer stuck, when the dishwasher needed to be coaxed shut. Missed calls happened, from Lena to Jasper when meetings ran late, from Jasper to Lena when bedtime ran long. They apologized, then stopped apologizing. One night after the girls were asleep, Jasper leaned against the counter and said, "You don't have to keep doing this." Lena rinsed a mug. "I know." He watched her a moment. "I mean it." She nodded, still not looking at him. "Me too." They didn't name anything, not what it was becoming, not what it already was. The girls noticed before either of them did. "Are you staying?" Poppy asked one night, already in pajamas, clutching her stuffed rabbit. "For dinner?" Lena asked. "For later," Poppy clarified. Lena hesitated just a beat. "I'll stay for a bit." Poppy nodded, satisfied but not relieved. Relief came slower. Willow tested things differently. She corrected Lena sharply once. "Mom didn't do it that way," then watched closely for the reaction. Lena stepped back without comment. Jasper said nothing, but later, after Willow went quiet in her room, he sat on the edge of her bed longer than usual. Freya asked blunt questions. "Are you going to leave like Mom did?" Jasper froze mid-step. Lena answered instead, "I don't know the future, but I'm here right now." Freya considered that, then nodded. "Okay." It wasn't enough, but it was honest. The hints started slipping through in fragments. A call that came late one night, Jasper stepping outside to take it, voice low and tense. A magazine at the grocery store checkout with a familiar face on the cover that Jasper turned away from without comment. A school form that asked for Mother's name and sat untouched on the counter for days. One evening, Willow snapped during homework, pencil thrown, chair scraped back. "She was supposed to come. She said she would." Jasper's jaw tightened. That was a long time ago. That doesn't mean it didn't count. Silence hit hard. Lena stood slowly. "I'll give you a minute." Willow shook her head. "Don't leave." The word caught. Lena stayed. Later, Jasper apologized quietly, not for Willow's anger, but for letting it spill. Lena shook her head. "It's not spilling. It's been sitting there." On a cold afternoon in late fall, Jasper found Lena on the porch steps after the girls had gone inside. "You didn't sign up for this," he said. "No," she agreed. He waited. "But I'm here anyway." He nodded, eyes fixed on the yard. "So am I." The girls pressed closer after that, not physically, emotionally. They watched Lena for signs, took note of her shoes by the door, asked who was picking them up tomorrow, tested what here meant. One night, Willow left a drawing on Lena's coat before she went home. A house, 5 stick figures. One was colored differently, but placed carefully in line. Lena didn't say anything. She just hung the coat up and left the drawing there. Somewhere between missed calls and small wins, between spelling tests and burned dinners, Lena realized she wasn't filling space anymore. She was holding it. And none of them knew yet what would happen if she let go. It happened on an ordinary Tuesday, which somehow made it worse. Lena was standing in the grocery store checkout line, half listening to the beeps and half thinking about whether Willow's science project needed more poster board, when the magazine cover caught her eye. She didn't even register the headline at first, just the face. Hair pulled back, smile sharp and practiced, eyes angled slightly away from the camera like she was always being photographed between movements. The name sat beneath it in bold white letters. Chloe Sterling returns to the spotlight. Lena's chest tightened before her mind caught up. The cashier scanned her items. "Paper or plastic?" "Paper," Lena said automatically, her eyes still fixed on the rack. She didn't buy the magazine. She didn't need to. The image stayed with her all the way to the car. She didn't mention it that night. At Jasper's house, the girls were loud, arguing over a board game, and Jasper was already tired when he walked in, jacket tossed over a chair, phone buzzing in his pocket more than usual. He silenced it face down. Dinner happened. Homework happened. Life moved forward the way it always did, by insisting on itself. But the phone kept buzzing. After the girls went upstairs, Jasper finally picked it up. His face changed in a way Lena hadn't seen before. Not anger exactly, something tighter, more exposed. "What is it?" she asked. He didn't answer right away. He scrolled once, then again, then locked the screen. "It's nothing," he said. Lena nodded, but she felt it, the shift, like a door had opened somewhere they'd been keeping closed. The next morning, Hillside Elementary buzzed with the wrong kind of energy. Parents huddled in clusters, phones out, whispered names. Lena caught it as she walked past two moms near the fence. "Unsterling? Like the actress? I heard she's trying to get custody back." Lena stopped cold. She didn't stay for pickup that day. That night, Jasper didn't come home until late. When he did, he looked like he'd aged a year in one afternoon. "She called," he said, dropping his keys into the bowl too hard. The girls were already asleep. Lena sat at the table. "Who?" He didn't pretend not to understand. "Chloe." The name landed heavy in the room, finally spoken out loud. "She wants to see them," he continued. "She says she's ready." "Ready for what?" asked Lena. He laughed once, humorless. "That's the question." The next days blurred together. A lawyer's name mentioned in passing, papers laid out on the counter, then stacked away again. Jasper taking calls outside, pacing the driveway with his hands in his hair. The girls felt it immediately. "Why are you mad?" asked Freya one night. "I'm not mad," Jasper said. "Yes, you are," Willow said quietly. He didn't argue. Poppy asked Lena instead, "Is Mom coming back?" Lena's heart sank. "What makes you think that?" Poppy shrugged. "Dad's voice sounds like before." Before. Always that word. Media attention crept in sideways. A photo snapped near the school by someone who pretended to be checking their phone. A blog post speculating about Chloe's private life and family reconciliation.
Jasper stopped letting the girls walk ahead of him. One evening, Willow overheard a phone call she wasn't supposed to. "She left," Jasper said sharply into the phone. "She doesn't get to rewrite that." The door creaked. Willow stood frozen in the hallway. Later, she exploded. "She didn't leave," Willow shouted. "You made her go." Jasper went still. "That's not true." "You don't know," Willow yelled. "You never talk about it." Freya started crying. Poppy covered her ears. Lena stepped in without thinking, kneeling in front of Willow. "Hey, we don't yell like this." "Why not?" Willow snapped. "Everyone leaves anyway." The room went silent. Jasper's face crumpled just slightly, like something finally cracked through. "She chose her career," he said, voice low and shaking. "She chose to go." "You let her," Willow shot back. He turned away. That night, after the girls were asleep, Jasper sat at the table with his head in his hands. "I failed them," he said. Lena sat across from him, unsure where she was allowed to be now. "You kept them safe," she said. "From what? From her? From myself?" Silence stretched. Lena finally asked the question she'd been avoiding. "Where does this leave me?" He looked up, startled. "What do you mean?" "If she comes back," Lena said carefully, "what am I?" He opened his mouth, then closed it again. That was answer enough. The next day, Chloe Sterling's name was everywhere. The girls asked fewer questions but watched more closely. Every goodbye lingered too long. Every return was checked for certainty. Lena found herself standing just outside the circle now, close enough to be needed, far enough to be replaced. She realized then that loving this family meant standing in the space between what was gone and what might return, and that space was starting to feel dangerous. The break didn't come with shouting or slammed doors. It came quietly. Lena heard it by accident, Jasper on the phone in the kitchen, voice low, tired. "If Chloe wants a slow re-entry, maybe that's best, for the girls. We shouldn't confuse them." Lena stopped in the hallway. "Someone stable, someone temporary, if that's what it takes." Temporary. She didn't confront him. She finished packing Willow's lunch. She hugged the girls goodbye like always. She smiled. Then she didn't come back the next day. Or the day after. When Jasper called, she let it ring. When he texted, she answered once.
You don't need me anymore. I was just helping you get through the gap. That night, the house felt wrong. Too quiet. Freya asked when Lena was coming. Poppy cried at bedtime. Willow said nothing at all, staring at the door like it might open if she watched long enough. Jasper stood in the kitchen, holding his phone, rereading his own words until they sounded cruel. Temporary. He sat down hard, the weight of it finally landing. He hadn't meant it like that, but he'd never said what he did mean. And now the space Lena had been holding was empty, louder in its absence than it had ever been when it was full.
The truth caught up to Jasper on a Thursday morning, the kind that didn't give him time to prepare. Willow refused to get out of the car. "I'm not going," she said, seatbelt still on, arms crossed tight. "Willow," Jasper said, already late, "we've talked about this." She looked straight ahead. "If Mom comes back, she'll leave again." He opened his mouth to reassure her, then stopped. Because he'd been saying maybe for weeks. Maybe Chloe would stay. Maybe the girls needed her. Maybe everyone else just had to adjust. And in all that careful maybe, he'd let the only certainty walk away. That afternoon, Jasper called his lawyer and said no gradual re-entry, no ambiguity. If she wants contact, it's supervised and clear. There was a pause on the line. "Are you sure?" "Yes," he said, "I am." That evening, he knocked on Lena's door instead of calling. She opened it slowly, guarded, eyes tired but steady. "I said the wrong thing," he told her, "and worse, I let it be true." She didn't step aside. "I wasn't protecting the girls," he continued. "I was protecting myself from choosing." Silence stretched. "I don't want someone temporary," he said. "I want you, in their lives, in mine, not as a placeholder, not as a gap." Lena studied his face, searching for exits he wasn't offering. "You should have said that before," she said quietly. "I know." She didn't forgive him. Not yet, but she nodded. The girls didn't rush her when she came back. Freya hugged her hard, then pulled away to make sure she was real. Poppy asked if she was staying for dinner. Willow watched from the stairs, waiting. Later, Willow handed Lena the old drawing, the one with 5 stick figures. "I didn't erase you," she said. Trust returned the way it had left, slow, cautious, earned one ordinary day at a time. And this time, Jasper didn't look away while it was happening. A year later, Willow Creek Café looked exactly the same. Same brick walls, same low hum of voices, same window table catching the last light of evening. Lena noticed it immediately and smiled. "You planned this," she said, stopping just inside the door. Jasper pretended to check his watch. "Planned what?" She glanced at the table. "The same one." "You're not subtle." Freya came first, holding something behind her back. Poppy followed, grinning too hard. Willow walked last, calm and deliberate, like she was in charge of timing. Lena's breath caught. "What are they?" Jasper stood. The cafe seemed quiet, or maybe she just stopped hearing it. "I didn't know how to do this loudly," he said, "so I thought I'd do it honestly." He knelt, not dramatically, just enough to meet her eye level. "Lena Reed," he said, voice shaking now. "You didn't fix us. You chose us, every day, and we chose you back." The girls stepped forward. They lifted the sign together. Uneven letters, marker smudges. "Say yes, Lena." Poppy waved it a little too hard. Freya bounced in place. Willow just held her end steady, eyes never leaving Lena's face. Jasper opened the box. Simple ring, no spectacle. "Will you marry me?" he asked. Lena laughed through tears she hadn't felt coming. She nodded before she could speak. "Yes," she said, "yes." The cafe clapped softly, like they knew better than to interrupt. The girls rushed her all at once. "Does this mean—" Freya started. "Can we—" Poppy added. Willow waited until Lena looked at her. "Can we call you Mom?" The word didn't scare her. Lena knelt and pulled them close. "If you want to," she said. They nodded, 3 heads against her shoulders. Outside, the streetlights flickered on. Inside, a family completed the circle, not by accident this time, but by choice. They didn't rush anything after that. There was no sudden reordering of the house, no overnight shift into something shiny and new. Life continued the way it always had, by waking everyone too early, by losing one shoe, by burning toast and laughing about it anyway. The rim stayed on Lena's finger, warm and solid, but the real change showed up in quieter places. At Hillside Elementary, the office secretary updated a form without ceremony. At the grocery store, the cashier assumed they were all together and no one corrected her.
At home, Lena's shoes stopped being visitors by the door and became part of the row. One night, weeks later, they sat on the living room floor with takeout containers between them. A movie paused halfway through. Poppy broke the silence first. "If you're our mom now, are you staying forever?" The room stilled, not tense, just careful. Lena didn't answer right away. She looked at Jasper, then at Freya, who was trying not to look worried, then at Willow, who met her gaze head-on. "I can't promise forever the way movies do," Lena said gently, "but I can promise I'm not leaving." Freya nodded, satisfied enough. Poppy smiled. Willow asked the real question. "Even when things get hard?" Lena reached for her hand, especially then. That night, after the girls were asleep, Lena stood in the doorway of their room, watching them breathe in uneven rhythm, limbs tangled, safe. She realized she hadn't wandered into this life by accident. She had chosen it, step by step, dish by dish, late night by late night. She wasn't filling a gap. She was holding a family together, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. And for the first time, the house didn't feel like it was holding ghosts. It felt alive. It felt like home. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a story here on Soul Strength Stories. Share it with someone who loves stories about love, family, and unexpected miracles.